Hello, my name is Cindy Clarissa. In this video, I want to explain about typology or language typology. So, typology in linguistics refers to a systematic study and classification of different types of language varieties used by a group of speakers in a particular society or culture. This includes analyzing the linguistic features and pattern of different dialect, accent register, and style of speech that are used by different social groups. Based on factors such as geography, age, gender, ethnicity, and social class. Typology is concerned with identifying the linguistic differences and similarities between these varieties, as well as understanding how they are used and perceived by speakers and listeners in different contexts. This involves examining the phonological, morphological, syntactic, and semantic aspect of language use, as well as the social and cultural factors that shape language variation and change over time. Typology investigated pattern of distribution of linguistic structure, which call for cross-linguist survey, and is concerned with the differences and similarities between language systems, both within and across language. Language type comparisons can be synchronic, or diachronic. Any part of the linguistic system can be used to make typological comparisons. Typology through its cross-linguistic surveys can help show what kind of recurring pattern can be found. And as such, it can be used to test hypotheses about language and linguistic system. Any linguistic system can be used to make typological comprehension. Those typological surveys of phonological, morphological, grammatical, syntactic, lexical, pragmatic, semantic, and other systems. Language that share a common ancestor are grouped into one language family. This is accomplished through the use of rigorous historical and comparative linguistic method. The study of how language changes over time is known as historical or diachronic linguistics. By comparing language, we can determine whether they are related or not, and if so, how closely related they are. Looking for potential cognates or words that share a common origin is a common starting point. Language can be classified according to where they are spoken. Linguistic areas are more likely to develop where people have a lot of contact, regardless of political borders. When people interact, their language are likely to be influenced in some way. People who live in remote and difficult to reach areas are less likely to maintain consistent contact with others. Migration patterns, which are also influenced by language contact, are likely to follow natural boundaries for the simple reason that one is more likely to take the less difficult routes in search of new lands. Language can also be classified according to their origins. Linguistic typology classifies language primarily based on the element that comprise their structure as a word, as a sound, and part of words. How these words are organized in relation to one another, and so on. Two types of classification are especially important for cross-linguist survey: a language genealogical affiliation and the area in which it is spoken. This is because in order to be a representative of the world's language as possible, typological survey must be controlled for the geological and geographical bias, or the pattern that emerge may be due to factors such as inheritance or language contact. There are three of language typology. The first one is Johannes Smith's language typology. The wave model or wave theory or German Wellen theory is a model of language change in which a new language feature or innovation or a new combination of language features spread from its region of origins, affecting a gradually expanding cluster of dialects. Like waves on the water, dialect diffusion spread from a single point of contact according to the three models. Language evolved just through social splitting and linguistic divergence. By extension, the most perfect language is Sanskrit, the oldest known language. Perfect language in Sanskrit, the oldest known language. Humboldt claimed within the framework of German Romanticism that language shapes thinking and reflects the national soul or gist. Languages differ because nations view the word from different perspectives. The more perfect this view, the more perfect the language. Language structure reflects the mentality of a nation. Unfortunately, these ideas were later misissued. Language comparison from this perspective was merely a tool for achieving the goal. He concentrated on a language structure. He used the term spartable or organism to describe the structure. The structure of language served as the foundation of classification. He saw language as an inborn human ability that arose alongside the human as a result of his brain activity. This original language was ideal and perfect. However, all subsequent development resulted in demise. The second is Wilhelm von Humboldt. Typology Wilhelm was a German naturalist. Wilhelm von Humboldt was a philologist, scholar, diplomat, and friend of Schiller and Goethe, who was also interested in language. He studied many of them, including Hungarian, Tatar, Semitic language, Japanese, and others, in addition to Greek and Latin. His primary goals was to establish comparative anthropology. Humboldt was thrilled with the idea of a perfect ideal language. He postulated three possible forms for the attainment of sentence making: the inflectional, the agglutinating, and the incorporative. Humboldt maintained that the presence of one property indicates the presence or absence of some other. Importantly, he was aware of the fact that one language can exhibit properties of various language types. And the last is W. Stewart's. Autonomy and heteronomy are two complementary characteristics of a language variety that describe its functional relationship with other varieties. William S. Stewart proposed the concept in 1968 as a way from discussing a language from a dialect. A variety has its own cultural status. It is said to be autonomous. This can happen if the variety is structurally distinct from all others. A condition hence clause refers to as absence. The heteronomous variety is said to be dependent on or oriented towards the autonomous one in such cases. The heteronomous varieties are said to be under the roof and the standard varieties in Hein clause terminology. For example, the various regional varieties of German, referred to as dialects, such as Alemannic, Austro-Bavarian, Central, Eastern, and Northern Hessians, Low German, and others, are heteronomous with respect to Standard German, despite the fact that many of them are not mutually intelligible. As a result, language isolated like Basque must be autonomous. A standard language is autonomous where several closely related varieties coexist because it has its own orthography, dictionaries, grammar book, and literature. These are the characteristics of Aufbau, or the elaboration of a language to serve as a literary standard according to Hein clause. A variety is said to be heteronomous in relation to a genetically related standardized variety if speakers read and write the other variety as a standard form of their speech, and any standardizing changes in their speech are directed toward the standards. For the conclusion, typology is an important tool in sociolinguistics for understanding how language is used and interpreted in different social and cultural contexts, and how this reflects and reinforces social structure and power dynamic in society. That's all about typology. Thank you.